Welcome back to Split the Party. As always, I'm your host, Steve Osmond. Today, we're here to talk about Code of Nine. This is another Z-Man Games, and as I was just telling the guys, this I think Z-Man Games would be quickly becoming one of my favorite game companies. They just make really great games. They've got a diverse array, and this one is an excellent example. It's a worker placement game. That's what you're doing. You're placing workers. You are each playing. There are 4 players in every playthrough. So if you have less than 4, then you will have ghost players to make them up. There are always 4 characters playing, and you are each playing automatons after the fall of man. It's not necessarily an apocalypse or anything horrible that has happened. It's just really far in the future, and mankind has gone the way of the dodo. And it's been so long that these automatons have actually forgotten a lot of the things because they were instilled with the memory and the will of mankind. Pretty deep. But they've forgotten it because they're old and it's been a while. So what you are doing here is you are attempting to reclaim as many of these memories as possible. To do that, there are 8 cards that are dealt out, 2 to each of the players, and those are your end game, the criteria for gaining points, for getting your victory points. You'll have 2 face down on each of your cards, one in a shoal, one in the abyss. That'll become important later. I'll tell you about that. But the reason that I like this game is because of the depth of it. It's got a lot. You have a finite amount of turns. There are exactly 15 turns maximum that you can play. And you've got a lot that you're trying to pack in. Every time that I've played this game, I've thought, well, I'm going to try and do this a little bit more. And from the very get-go, you can sort of plan out what you want to do with your 15 turns. It makes it a lot of fun. Even though you don't know what the other people are doing, you can still kind of get an idea of what you want to drive at, which is largely affected by your memory cards. And I'll get to that in the playthrough. But it's just, for people, if you've got a group that really likes to dive into a good strategy game, but also they don't want to play necessarily this time, they don't want to play a real long, like a 3, 4, 5 hour, even 6 hour game. This only takes probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you've really got somebody locked up in analysis paralysis. If you really get somebody locked up, it might take a couple hours. Otherwise, it's an hour, hour and a half. So it's over pretty quickly, but there are a lot of deep decisions to make in here, a lot of different types of actions to take, and it's a really, really fun game. The flavor comes out-ish. I mean, it comes out in the names of the places and in the mechanics of the game itself. There aren't a lot of things where something happens and really makes me feel like I'm an automaton trying to reclaim the memory of mankind. But the names of the different places are really cool. The shoal and abyss cards for where I hold my memories, those are really cool. And the way everything works is it's just cool. It's got a great feel to it. Although I never really felt like I'm a robot in the far-flung future trying to remember what it is that mankind made me remember forever. That being said, it's a beautiful game. It's very visually appealing. It's a lot of fun. I think you guys should definitely give it a try. If you're a fan of Z-Man Games, this is another one of their games to really give a shot. If you haven't tried it, this is a good place to dive in. Make sure you've got a group of people who are strategy fans, but this is a good taste of what Z-Man Games can do. I think that's about all I've got for right now. Our next video is actually going to be a little brief playthrough example of how this game goes. So watch next week and you'll see how that goes. But for right now, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dual Bus Design, Excelsior Games and Comics, and Sound G Entertainment. And as always, I'll see you out there in the Nerdverse.